Welcome back to the Lines College Football Podcast. I'm Brett Gibbons with thelines.com, breaking down some Friday night college football action. Before we get into it, don't forget to follow the Lines on Twitter or X, and I am at Road to CFB. I'll be here every single week breaking down the weeknight college football slate. We are back, and don't forget to check out our weekly college football handicapping tools that I'm posting at thelines.com, like a weekly cheat sheet, weather reports, upset alerts, anything that you need to feel confident going into the weekend. It'll be up there at thelines.com. And be sure to check out our full lineup of shows, including the Lines Monster Pod, featuring Steven Andres, Matt Brown, and more. But let's dive right into it. This is Friday night. We've got a huge matchup between Arizona and Kansas State, as well as a fun one, I think, UNLV at Kansas. But moving forward to the marquee game Friday night, of course, not your high school action, but college football action. We have number 20 Arizona on the road at number 14 Kansas State. The Kansas State Wildcats, I can't just say the Wildcats here, but Kansas State is a 7-point home favorite, and the over-under is at 59.5 points. Kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern on Fox. It's part of the new Big 12 on Fox matchups that they have on Friday that I'm excited looking forward to watching. Now, this is a matchup between two Big 12 teams, but it actually doesn't count toward the standings, just like Baylor and Utah last week. They scheduled this pre-conference realignment, and the schools agreed to keep it non-conference. So this is non-conference, even though it is between two teams that share the same league here. Now, Arizona moved off its plus 7.5 opening number. It actually moved down the other way at first, getting Kansas State minus 6.5. But I do think that was a little bit of action to get the better number, come back and bet Kansas State a little bit harder with higher limits there. I do believe that's what happened, because now we're looking at minus 7.5 in favor of Kansas State. The over also took 3 points movement by Thursday morning. It opened at 56.5. There are some personnel concerns for Arizona here. It is worth your attention. Particularly running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Is he going to play? I don't know. There were eligibility concerns addressed by Brent Brennan, the head coach of Arizona this year. After last week's 22-10 win over Northern Arizona, he actually didn't even play in that matchup. He's considered doubtful for this week. I see it as doubtful for the whole rest of the season if we're talking about eligibility concerns. They also were missing their starting center, Josh Baker, who missed last week, and a starter in the secondary, Gunnar Maldonado. He missed week 2 as well. Now, if we're talking Chris Kleiman, dude's a winner. He's 41-24 against the spread at Kansas State. That's a 63% cover clip there. Arizona, though, they're off to an 0-2 start against the spread on the year. They allowed 39 points to New Mexico, who is a fun offense. I like their offense this year. If you read my upset alerts, I actually like New Mexico this week with the points because of that offense, but man, you're a power conference team. You're in the top 20. You shouldn't be allowing 39 points to New Mexico. And then they only scored 22 points against Northern Arizona last week. That offense was an absolute mess in week 2. Kansas State, they also fell to 0-2 against the spread after just barely beating Tulane 34-27. It did require some late game theatrics there. I still have not seen an inspiring performance from quarterback Avery Johnson. I was excited for him, but he just really hasn't delivered on the air or the ground, through the air or on the ground yet this year. I need to see some better play from Avery Johnson in order to take Kansas State very seriously, both in the Big 12 and in the national scale with the college football playoff. Now, my question is, can Arizona bottle up the Kansas State rushing attack? I don't know if they can. New Mexico ran for over 200 yards on the defense. Again, I like what New Mexico is doing. They're changing up. They have some fun playmakers, but if you're Arizona, you expect to keep New Mexico under 200 yards on the ground. Of course, Kansas State's coming out with a much bigger, better, and more lethal rushing attack than New Mexico. Now, on the other side, can their secondary contain Tedero McMillan? He's 6'5", enormous length. You can throw it within the same zip code to him. He's probably coming down with it. Nobody in the Kansas State secondary has the length, at least at cornerback. They got 5'10", 6 foot, $183. Not real big, rangy guys, although they are good athletes. I'd be looking for Kansas State to bracket T-Mac. I'd look for double teams on him, a little bit more zone in there to make Noah Fafita kind of hold the ball and not just be throwing for, 304 yards and 4 touchdowns against UNM as well. Now, last week, he only had 4 targets. He was 2 for 11. I'm looking for him to be more involved in a bigger game here in Manhattan. Now, I'm looking at T-Mac props if they're available in your state. I would buy, if there is a bump on that, right? And if there's a bump, I'm probably buying that. I'm sure sportsbooks aren't overreacting to a 2-for-11 performance against FCS opponent in week 2. But otherwise, I do like Kansas State with the points here, -7 at home. Bill Snyder Family Stadium, it's an underrated place to play. Kansas State's phenomenal in Manhattan. They went 6-1 against the spread at home last year and should have a pretty sizable home field advantage. So if I'm betting anything, it's Kansas State -7. But hop on over to our Discord server where you can connect with over 4,000 sports betting fans. We're talking college football all year round in there. You can get live updates in the college football server, and you're joining a sharp and very, very, very active community, especially this time of year in mid-September. And don't forget to subscribe to Lines YouTube for weekly college football odds and betting videos all season long. And subscribe to us on your podcasting app of choice, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, any of those things, whatever platform you prefer there. And drop us a good review if you like this breakdown of the college football Friday night slate here for week 3. But thank you so much as always for watching. I'm Brett Gibbons. I'll see you next time.